Hey, good evening. My name is Phil the Cruz. Today on Cruising with Phil, I got a good friend I've known for 20 years, Mr. Don Collymore from the LGBT community, where I met him at Zippers. Where did I get, right? Dancing?
Yeah, dancing. It was Sunday night at Zippers,
That's
which was
correct.
a lot of fun.
I know you came up to me and you said, listen, I'm a brother that stutters with my dance. I need some help. I'm just kidding you. So, Mr. Don, how you doing, Don?
I'm doing fine. I'm wearing this jersey. It's obviously it's a Leafs jersey,
I know. I won't hold it against
but
you.
it's
I'm
but it's
kidding.
different. Guess who's on the butt? Wayne Simmons,
Oh,
one
cool.
of the few black players. Simmons hasn't gotten much playing
No,
time
I
this
know.
this season, but yeah, supporting him.
He's
Number
good.
24.
I saw him in practice not too long ago.
Oh wow. He's apparently I think he's from Scarborough.
Yeah. He's a good. It's Scarborough. Yeah. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Nice family too. Really nice family. Really homegrown family. I love him. I think he's a good guy. Put him
Yeah.
more in there. So tell us who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah. Oh boy. Hi, my name is Don Collymore. I'm originally from Montreal, Quebec. I came to Toronto like nearly 20 years ago, just basically to find myself,
Yeah.
in a way that because coming out, it wasn't easy, especially being coming from an Afro-Caribbean background, at the time was no Bati man here. So
Did you come out
things
of
are changing.
Did you come out of Montreal or Toronto?
I came out more in Toronto than Montreal because Montreal, my family is around.
Yeah.
It was a little rough at first, but we're getting along better, and I'm more comfortable in my own skin. And on top of that, I like husky, chubby men. So I was very involved in the bear, chub, and chaser community, so I'll be considered a chaser and whatnot. So,
Yeah. I
but now
said,
I'm considered a daddy bear because I'm all
Daddy,
older.
yeah. I know. It's so funny. So did you, when you came out, did your family had it like not be personal? Did they react to the positive or negative way for you?
No, they weren't happy. So, it's actually a very funny story. Looking back, it's a very funny story. When I went back home to Montreal, I was talking to this, and I never forgot it. It's back in they used to have MIRC. Now everyone has the apps where you can look and whatnot. MIRC was the dial up, and then you see the picture comes down like Z. It takes a
Yeah.
long time for it to print out and whatnot. And guys, and that's how I sort of came out. I came out, I think I always knew I was gay since I was 13, but I suppressed my feelings when it ended up imploding when 25, 26.
I saw
And
your hey, I saw your baby pictures. I knew you're gay right there.
you're bad.
Just the way you're in that tight diaper.
You're bad.
I'm sorry, go on.
Anyways, yeah, so it was like, yeah, so I was talking to this guy, I never forgot it, MI Cub somewhere in Detroit. God bless him. He had the Janet Jackson tattoo. And so I downloaded this picture of his at the back of this lovely chubby dude and the Janet Jackson tattoo. I put in my sister's, I think, Ebony magazine,
Oh,
and I
cool.
hid it underneath the bed and went back to Toronto. At the
Yeah.
time, my grandmother, who passed away from which is my mom's mom, said, "Oh, he probably went to Toronto for a woman or whatever." They were trying to wonder why I went to Toronto, and I was like, "I'm going for better job opportunities or whatever." So my sister, lo and behold, went underneath my bed to look for said magazine.
Yeah.
She found the magazine, freaked out, and I never forgot the picture. You got this picture of this white boy, this white man doing nasty stuff, blah, blah, blah. My mom gave me 48 hours to come home, denounce my homosexuality. And no, it didn't work out. But then, yeah, then unfortunately we had a nasty argument and a falling out, and it was rough for a couple of years, but now we're getting back together. I think things are changing, attitudes are changing, especially within the Black Afro-Caribbean community, which is good to know.
Yeah, because back
But
then,
it was tough.
yeah.
Yeah,
Back then, a lot of black, even other, not there's black other nationalities didn't come out. It's like
yeah,
you don't talk about it, right?
yeah. You don't talk about it. It's considered a white man's disease. It was
Jeez.
considered a sin.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, because what
You're
you're doing
Christian.
is bringing shame to the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
that all. Yeah.
yeah,
My family's good. Like they're okay with it. They're fine.
yeah.
Actually, they support a lot of people in the community after I brought people home, even the military. So
Oh wow.
I was fortunate to have a good supportive family always. No
Yeah,
judgment. But sorry, go on with your story.
yeah. But so then I got involved and I think getting involved in the bear chaser community and coming here sort of opened my eyes and expanded my my friends and whatnot. I organized an art show back in 2008. However, if I remember 2008, because I gotta remember, it's 2008. Because it was called For Real Bears Without Boundaries. That was a lot of fun. I know one or two people got a commission out of that. Also, I was organized an event. I was part of a group called Gen X Bears, as well as Bears by Nature.
Yeah,
Bears by Nature is more like marching and pride. Gen X Bears, we all were sort of
yeah.
like fighting ourselves
Phil
in
was
that
involved in that, right?
sense.
Right, Don?
Yeah.
Phil DeBarris was involved in that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Phil, God rest his soul.
yeah.
Phil was one
Phil's
of
a
the
good friend.
first.
Yeah, he passed
Yeah,
away not,
very
yeah,
good. Yeah, yeah,
nothing
yeah,
good. Yeah, good guy,
yeah.
funny guy.
Brother Phil,
Yeah,
because I always call him Brother Phil, keeping it real. He was one of the first black men I gravitated to, because you need that, right? Because you come out as gay, and then you have to define what does that mean for you. And on top of that, I like husky chubby men. On top of that, how does it mean being black and whatnot? And you go through experiences, some good, some bad. I think one of the
he was
worst.
very wise, Mr. Phil.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
met him
Phil was
zippers
very.
too. He was always good. He always tell me,
Yeah.
watch that guy. He's no good.
He was a good dancer and a
Oh
great
yeah, yeah,
friend,
yeah.
but don't get him mad. He was stubborn as fuck, but he was
Oh yeah,
like a good guy. He
yeah,
was a very good guy, and unfortunately he passed away during the pandemic.
yeah,
It was I don't think he died of COVID. It may have been other health
yeah,
issues,
yeah.
but he died the same time as another good friend of mine's, Big Dave,
He's
died. So
involved with the community for a long time, right?
yeah, he got involved in the community. He was part of Bear Buggies, Buddies, and part of Triangle Squares. And I do believe he did slow dancing. And he also was part of there was a black queer group in
Yeah,
church, and he was involved in that
sure,
because he
yeah.
was very involved in MCC Toronto. So yeah,
Well, a lot of
um,
memories. I forgot half the stuff he did. Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah, good
yeah.
guy.
Phil was a great guy, and in a sense, a quiet trailblazer. You don't have to always be the rah-rah person.
No, no,
Like,
he was. I never saw him yell every once. The guy. I never seen him get mad or nothing. Like just a
yeah, he
inclusion.
was a good guy, and he was apparently very talented with his hands and pottery. He could have went on, but he chose not to for whatever reason. But yeah, I was blessed to meet good people like him, and a lot of good people along the way that sort of guided me to become a well-rounded person. I still struggle like
Yeah.
everybody else, but yeah, it's been a very interesting journey, and
So you got
you
involved
know
with the community, and then as you continue on, you're in all the parades too, weren't you? Some of the floats you did.
Yeah, I was involved in small mini floats. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I think one of the things that taught me resiliency, and this is very interesting you brought this out, was the fact that a group of us wanted to march in pride. And now there was another person at the time want to do this big float. He ended up winning anyways. Want to do this big float with in the bathhouse or whatever. That was cool. And we wanted to do something small that was non-commercial, because at the time a lot of people felt pride was becoming commercialized. Thus, the big fight that happened, that finally went down at 2016
yeah.
with Black Lives Matter and the protest. It wasn't just people get mad and say it was about the police. It's not about just the police, in my humble opinion, because I can't speak for everyone at Black Lives Matter. Out of due respect, I have a lot of respect for those activists. It's about the direction of pride, where it's going, how people of color felt isolated and shunned out of the decision making.
Yeah.
And part of it was like, especially representing bigger, chubbier men and their lovers and whatever, a lot of us were pushed to the side for the pretty boys and the more commercialized
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
floats.
they're that's yeah, sorry. Yeah, the stereotype. I remember that. Yeah, I get involved with the community. Means a different.
Yeah,
They don't know what nationality you is. Then they can put you in a category. Like you're saying, like that whole nice bodies, all looks. Forget the boys. Forget the queens. Forget the other groups that are. They did. They had this one,
yeah.
and that's what yeah, it was commercialized to a sense of a straight white man's dream. That's what it
Yeah, and
was.
people forget, if it wasn't for Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson and the street kids and whatever, we wouldn't be here today. Or even let's look at our own pivotal moment. I think it was Chris Birchall, what I may have her name, who stood up and screamed "No more shit" after in 1988, 1980s, after the bathhouse raids and the body politic and their work, and all these other activists here who pushed so that we could have the life we could enjoy now in Toronto. There's nothing wrong with party. Pride is of like, is two things. Pride is a celebration. It is a commercial enterprise. That's the truth, you
It's really
know.
funny we don't have
Um,
all that information we're talking about. There's no like if I got elected, one thing I didn't want to be as a mayor, as like we talked before, get a museum set up somewhere that all this stuff is on display for people to see how the community grew. Like all the stuff you went through and before you and when I was kids, the bathhouse ways. I remember as a kid, that was unfounded, right? That was all because of the reaction of a death, unfortunately, it happened.
but even that, there's so much things,
But
especially
yeah,
in Toronto's queer history, that we don't even know about,
no, no,
that
there should
we're
be on display. Like,
slowly
yeah,
finding
it
about.
should be like
Yeah.
when people come to Toronto from other parts, they, they're still in the closet from other countries, right? They go, hey, this is how the community grew in Toronto. We can take that, see what's going on, display all the information we're talking about. They go back to the country and, react to that. This is how Toronto
Mhm.
grew. Because Toronto was not always like this before. You didn't have
No,
equal rights. You didn't have equal rights. You didn't have all the same sex benefits. You never had that, any of that, right?
no, 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 no.
So people need to know how that came about. So they see that on display in like a museum or even a community center that's permanent display. Hey, this is how we grew. Like you stuff
Mhm.
told me about the dam flood, how the dam flood. I didn't know that how the taste of the dam flood came. That I didn't. You told me that information there, but stuff like that should be on display so people come see. Not as a tourist seeing when they come down for pride. It's not a case of just partying and all. But just look at the history, how we got there. We're there because of this, this. Well, Phil's an example. He made a part of small percentage of helping out the community. People don't realize that. It's those hidden volunteers that made the difference that you don't get noticed. I like to see them put in the forefront and put the name on there. I know they're very humble. Say, I don't need my name, but you know what? I think it's important you put your name up there. You did this. Like all the names you mentioned, they should be on a display. They did this.
Yeah, and there's so much in our history, but I think even the people who aren't in the forefront, they've made a difference. Like I remember this kid got kicked out of his house, and when my fiance David and I was down, I asked, I think one year if we could spend Christmas with this kid, and he's now grown into his own persona that he even wrote on Facebook, his own state of independence. For him to do that at 19, I have a lot of pride for him versus what I could have done, because like I said, I was in the closet, and in a way, I think as a queer person, you go through a rebirth, right? You sort of mourn who how the society tells you what you're supposed to be versus who you are. And I had to go through that rebirth at 25, 26, because I tried dating women. It felt awkward. And on top of that, was with husky chubby men, like, and I want to be with them. And that's still kind of crazy.
I
Yeah,
was,
like
I
that,
was, I was engaged. Nice, very nice girl. Probably
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. Her name was
No.
I what's her name? Czech girl, European girl, and she's like, if I got married to one woman, she would have been the one. We never fought. We got along great. She was a great lady, And then finally, just didn't work out because she was starting her career in medical field, and I was just getting out of the military, so we're going different directions. But never fought once, or whatever. But she was like nicest girl, And I told her who I really am and what I'm really interested. Then there's no like fighting or nothing. She was just very understanding to this day, I respect her. But yeah, you go through the process of trying to force yourself. Is it because of the background of the Christian upbringing, you think?
I think it's a lot of things. You also have to remember the years we were brought up in. In 1970s, remember there was a sexual revolution where it was okay, and then the 70s came, and then it was this weird, yes, it is, no, it's not.
No,
Because
it's
you
not.
look
Yeah.
at, my roommate was watching Dynasty, or watching Dynasty, and for Stephen to turn around and say that he's gay
Oh yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah. That
1980
was a big
is
thing.
very like
That was
bold. And
that was
then, but to see Blake, because if you what Dynasty made a lot of us gay, okay?
no,
Everyone loves Alexis, everyone
that was
loves
the
her, but she
dynasty
was
that
like
was the dynasty cliffhanger. I was like, wow, that's the cliffhanger.
Dynasty, early Dynasty is kind of interesting because Blake is an asshole, because he's just so like, they try to make him into like Jay. Remember Dallas was the big
JR and
primetime
all that.
soap
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff, so they try to make him, but it just didn't work. And the minute Alexis came in, Joan Collins, she just suck all the oxygen and ruin. Let's go. Now it's getting interesting, like cat fights and stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah, two
yeah,
cat fights. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So you go through that, and then GRID and HIV/AIDS came out. So then on top of that, you're a minority, and and it's yeah, and it's from colonialism and those beliefs, like man should be with woman, woman should be with man. Meanwhile, people are cheating left, right, and center.
I said this back in it. I said back
Including
in,
with
I mentioned this in an interview, another interview. Back then, when I was growing up as a kid, remember Jerry Falwell?
yeah,
Look what the statement he as a Christian. What do you say? Uh, Age is God's answer to homosexuals. I mean, growing up hearing that statement deterred me from coming out and all this stuff, you know. And then
yeah, well, it's frightening. And then you hear stories like
people and a lot of he started his words created such a reaction of negativity, not toward the community, but people taking their lives. Thousands of people took their lives because they wouldn't
or
accept
they
it.
went to convergent therapy, which is
Conversion, yeah,
I know someone that went to, which you should interview, and I'll give you his name after,
yeah, yeah.
who's
Look at
done
it.
convergent therapy, and it's quite destructive.
Saw a
I
documentary about
remember
that.
the
A couple
80s,
guys.
my mom, my dad brought, you remember encyclopedias and they were big. And
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
those books were like You and Your Health. And I remember reading as a 13-year-old about homosexuality. And they said if someone's gay, you should just feel sorry for them, but they need psychological help.
He's sorry for him, like a dog.
Yeah, and this was a Christian. Yeah, exactly. Worse than a dog. At least with dog, you treat a dog with respect. But here it's like, oh, you shun them, pushing the set. And also, like I gotta admit, I grew up in and we men in high school, we said homophobic things. I remember telling my classmate, if you cross your legs a certain way, you're gay. If and whatnot. And I was once told by someone, if you're wearing those Bermuda shorts, some guy's gonna grab your ass and it's yellow. I like yellow Bermuda shorts. I was like, wow, Clint.
Remember my buddy last year? Well, he's not a buddy anymore. I told you that guy in North Bay, the police chief. He went to Quebec with his fiance,
Yeah.
and he's gonna probably watch this. I said, hey, why aren't you wearing a bikini? He had a picture of him and the other guys that had the old guys with bikinis, right? And he
Yeah.
wrote on it, and he wrote on his Facebook. I said, I don't wear bikini. I'm not gay. Remember that? I said, what the buddy? You're a police. You're training cops in Elmer, and you're a police, and you got if you go to his LinkedIn page, you got like 20 things of volunteering with abuse centered women, all that. Like, buddy, you talk like that, and I was surprised. I really, honestly, he's the last person I expected. After that, he kind of like he got caught or something, and after that, he stopped talking to me because I called him out of it because I said,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that don't understand it's unconscious bias. And a lot of
yeah,
people don't understand
I didn't
what
think he realized he
unconscious
was
bias is
I
all
didn't think he
about.
realized he was what he wrote until he realized that I put all this stuff in front of him. Okay, so
Well,
everybody
look
wrote
what there's certain rappers I don't listen. I don't listen. Well, I used to listen to Kanye West, not anymore because he's bloody well ignorant on so many levels.
yeah.
I actually erased and deleted a lot of his stuff out of my iPod and out of my phone. I remember, what was going on at one point. I'll suck on your dick, no homo,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
stuff. They
yeah.
all kept on
Yep.
saying no homo. I got a T-shirt that was made by this Montreal company called Revel and Riot, and I love it. I'm probably getting another one. It says mo homo. So people take a look. Let me know. Oh, yeah, mo homo, like mo homo.
Yeah.
So I really love it. Took the no and make it into a mo. So yeah, unconscious bias is a thing, and especially towards transgendered people.
Oh yeah.
I recently was talking to a colleague, and she was saying like, I don't understand them, and I don't understand it, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, and I explained to look, language evolves. Okay, if someone wants to see, you have to understand where transgender people are coming from. I may not be transgender, but you have to understand, like as a black person, I want to be respected. And I
Yeah.
think
Well,
that's
yeah.
all everybody want to be is respected.
My
So if
one of my
someone says they, it's about respect,
yeah
you know?
one of my fellow candidates, Isabel Gang. You know her. She was
Yeah,
one
I
of
think I
she
saw
got
the interview, but
yeah
not
yeah.
personally.
She told her whole story. That's what I want to talk about. And she told her
Mhm.
her whole even like during the election she went up. She didn't get a lot of invites to the debates because I had to tell her about it because she didn't put her email on display. She didn't want to this day. She didn't want the discrimination, the hate. To this day, still getting it, and she wouldn't canvass because she was in fear. She had a lot, even when she had her, she saw her wheelchair. She had Isabel for mayor and all that. Yeah, two security dogs. She still got discrimination to this day. Discrimination, even though she's transgender and she's gone through the process, and she's a great lady. She's a great lady,
Well, well,
and
that's
she's
what
so
the far right is doing. They can't go after us directly because we're quote unquote seen as normal society, but they'll go after transgender
yep,
people and they'll go after drag queens. Look at all
yep.
the protests showing up at drag queens story. And a drag queen is just telling someone a story. They're just modern day clowns. Okay. And they've blown up because of RuPaul's Drag Race,
Yeah.
you know? So for you to turn around and attack them makes no sense at all. But it's a backward day to go after us.
I think it's a, like
Okay.
it's a narrow-minded for them. It's a narrow-minded conditioning. Like they have their own little world. They see a change, like the way you act, I can't accept the way you act. It goes against my grain or the way I'm brought up, or the way I feel about myself. I think it's an insecurity. People that have to attack people of different, not nationality, sexuality. It's an insecurity.
It's the same thing
Even
within
like
our own
look at the
community.
women. Look at
Yeah.
Jennifer Valentine, right? What happened to
Yeah.
her? Because she's a
Yeah.
woman. That's a sexual discrimination. I'm not taking comparison. I'm just saying like because she's a woman and she worked in that field, she put up with all that crap because they thought the ratings were better having this idiot on there, and then she kind of had it. But that's just an example, like that. The same thing with different strands of the community, right?
Yeah, but it's
Whatever you
also
call
within our community, and I'm glad you meant that. And what happened with Black Lives Matter and why I backed away at one point from the Bear Chub community, because the biggest people that were complaining about what happened went down at the protests at 2016 were members of the Bear Chub community, who ironically, for people who felt discriminated against their looks, could turn around and be just as racist and bigoted. And I had to put some people in check. I actually had to walk away from the internet for a month or so, and I had to walk away from a number of friendships. There were times, there were events I would not go to because I did not want to run into these hypocrites. And someone has come up and they've apologized. And I told them, look, you got to know better. And you got to know, because we are one community,
yeah,
and an attack on one is an attack on us all. And you to not understand what people, and I remember sitting in the auditorium and I was hearing all this. I remember one person stood up to, we're illegal students from Humber. Okay. That protest they did was illegal. Excuse me? These are members of your community who
yeah,
are tired of the harassment,
yeah,
not just from the cops, but they're tired of being ignored by Pride Toronto at the time.
yeah,
That they felt that anytime they had their events, they were often defunded, they were often pushed to the side, and their voices were ignored. The only time they wanted them is for a photo op,
yeah.
you
Photo op.
know.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you can't understand that, and I made everyone raise up their hands. How many of y'all felt discriminated in the community, especially had to deal with the cops? And I had to raise my hand up too, because I wouldn't have been here, Phil. Okay, because like back in the night, mind my business, and I was, and this was during Caravana, or in Cari Fiesta. Remember, there was a number of shootings that happened in Caravana.
Yeah, yeah,
It also happened in Montreal Cari Fiesta. Okay, and I remember walking up the hill, cutting through to my work, because I worked at the Royal Victoria Hospital at the time. I was cutting up towards McGill. McGill's on a big hill going up that hill. Okay, and I remember 3 or 4 men started following me. And I was watching the Caravana parade. It was going along the street, and then I was heading up, and these 3 or 4 men started following me. I didn't know who the fuck they were, And next thing you know, this guy comes around, flash a badge. Police, we want to see what's in your bag. And I froze. And the reason why I froze, Presley Leslie, Marcel Francois, Anthony Gibbon, there were 3 unarmed Black men that were mowed down by the police and shot under dubious circumstances, and up to this day we don't know what happened, and that was etched in my brain. Okay, so the arguments that were happening back in the 90s and up till like now, because I even remember the Rodney King riots and the protests that happened as well, were now manifesting again, and what I couldn't have done then, I had to do now.
So the guy flashes badge, running. What happened after that?
They all surrounded me and I froze, and I just showed them what was in my bag. And I was pissed off, wanted to get their name, went down and complained. And I went down to the commission and said, and the guy stood there and said, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. Yes, Mr. Collymore, they stopped you, but what do you think happened? They stopped me because I'm Black. But that's not really an excuse. Yeah, because I'm going an opposite direction. The parade's going like west.
Yeah,
If I wanted to cause trouble in a parade, I would have shot up in the parade.
yeah.
Not head in the opposite direction, north. The parade's going west. I'm going north. And and I said, fuck this. And I walked out of the commission.
Yeah, the Montreal police have, yeah, they're different from Toronto police. they're more. I don't know. I'm not being racist, but whenever I'm posting Quebec, anywhere in Quebec, any shrine place, always got picked on by the police. Always got pulled over. You know.
Yeah, and I think that's even being addressed too, and I'm glad that there's a new generation of activists who are unafraid to have that. And we had to have that. And it was a very nasty, there were people within our own community that were defending, it's not saying the police can't march. The police can march, but without uniform as part of the community. And a lot of them got mad, and it's like, this is bullshit.
It's
And
funny.
it's
You know.
not just about the police, it's also Pride Toronto
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
get a recheck on how they treated minorities and people of color.
yeah.
Since then I've seen more people of color got involved, including myself. More people are taking up leadership positions, and that in itself is very important.
Even the
Visibility. I took a course about this morning about TD, and they talk about Black people should invest, and why aren't Black people aren't investing? Because if you don't see someone that's showing you the way, you're not going to do it.
yeah.
And they said even for LGBT, and it was in terms of chart, it was 24% of Black people will invest if they saw another Black person talk about LGBT. It's even less.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
women, it's 15%. I think LGBT was 18, and it was just like you sit here and you think about investing, which for myself, who's going to a consumer proposal, I was a great organizer, but not in my finances, and I'm not ashamed to admit this. Hopefully, you'll be paid off by this fall, God
Yeah.
willing.
You want to talk
Yeah,
about that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be honest with it. And it's like, what happened with the consumer proposal, and it happens. We
What is it?
all
Tell me about the
a,
consumer.
a consumer proposal is different from bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and it happens to all of us, people have debt. But if you have unmanageable debt, and this is what happened to me, true story. When I was coming out, I used to do the 1-800 horny lines, like man line and cruise line, and in the back of the newspaper, you phone
Yeah,
this number.
I saw your name 50 times in one line one day.
Yeah, I was that guy. Okay,
I'm
I was that
just,
guy.
I'm
I was
kidding you.
that guy. But in doing so, I ran up I ran up a credit card bill, and I put the credit card bill on a credit card. And credit cards are nice if you're able to pay it off, but when you start shoveling dirt, and that's what it is. And
Yeah.
that $10,000 credit card blew up. And then you borrow money off that card. Then I came here. I wasn't working stable jobs. So you get into the survivalist mentality, not a tribe mentality. You got to do what you got to do.
Mhm.
So after I ran up my credit cards and ran up stuff, I went to payday loans, which is a huge no. Do not know.
Oh yeah.
Legalize loan sharks. And there are people who borrow, for example, a $2,000 loan and end up paying it for 10 years.
Yeah. I've heard a story
And
about that.
I got into a circle. It was up to 4,700.
Wow.
40,700, not 4,000, 40,700, but bad credit cards and everything. And I got to a point, I was nearing close to 50, and I had to make a decision. Do I cut? And I was starting to work a good full-time job. I was starting to, but I wasn't saving any money. And I always wanted to invest. So
Yeah.
I made the hard decision, had to cut up everything. I was working with Credit Canada, and thank God the lady told me, and I worked with them before. They told me, they told me 10 years ago, do this. And I was too proud. No, 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 I will get out of this. I will get myself out and put myself in. And I had to deal with it, and I had to grow up. So consumer proposal is considered like a basically you lose your credit cards and everything, but you can have up to 5 years. The terms are, it's better to check out the website, because like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, not financial advice. I gotta say that, I don't want you to get sued. But
But
happy to
Don
say
said
that,
do
not
this.
financial advice. Yeah, it will happen to you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get like,
yeah,
check out the website about it, look it up. But basically, it allows you to pay within certain amount of payments. You have up to 5 years. Okay. Meanwhile, on the flip side, bankruptcy is the nuclear option, but bankruptcy is a lot more restricted. If you make, for example, more money, you have to pay more. And that messes your credit up more. But consumer proposal, you can rebuild your credit a lot more easy. It's almost a middle ground.
yeah.
So I went for the consumer proposal. I was gonna try to, and my goal is to pay it off in 3 years. It's getting to be, year 2 into the year 3 into paying this off, and I'm close to paying it off, thank God. And it's been tough. It's been a struggle. I had to bite my thing. I had to hustle. I got a second. I did food delivery, and that was very humbling, and there's times, how could I do this at 50 some years? I've seen 50-year-old other people, and there's a lot of those people that are up there doing it full time, 7 a.m., and they don't go home the night till 11. And they're
So,
out here in weather that's like this today, that's rainy and cold, and because they gotta survive. You gotta do what you gotta do, you
so
know?
are you finishing
And
up?
it's
You're finish up your consumer by the end of this year or next year?
Yeah, I'll be finishing off by this year, hopefully
Oh,
by the fall of this year. But it's been a humbling experience, and it taught me the value of money, what to do with money. I had to pick up a book and learn about investing. And I felt like, oh, I'm too dumb, I'm too this. And sometimes I kick myself. Had I been smarter, I would be ahead. But they said the best time to invest was yesterday. The next best time to invest is right now. So I started off small investments. True, like I did it through TD, but I also do it through Wealth Simple. That means instead of spending that extra $10, $20 at Starbucks, you buy a, 10. I'm gonna own a bank because the bank always owed me. Fuck it, I'm gonna own the bank. So I started buying small shares into it, and you get dividends and you get
oh, good.
payment. There's ups and downs to it. You don't have to go that route, could put GIC as long, because the thing with the tax-free savings account, and everyone says the problem is it's saving. Everyone thinks you put it in for savings. No, you could do anything within it within a certain amount. But yeah, it's best check out the website. Best to speak to a financial.
What's the book you said you read? Well, just to let me people
There
know.
was a couple of books. I read The Wealthy Barber.
Yeah,
That was pretty good.
yeah.
Also Reboot Your Portfolios, another one. And I think there's a couple other financial books I read as well that I should have had them out, that helps you out. And I'm trying every day to try to improve myself. I'm learning about leadership courses. Hell, I even learning about crypto, and I think it's important to, as I age, as I'm going to my golden years, or as we say in the gay world, daddy, to take the time to invest yourself, share your knowledge with other people, and to be open-minded. So it's been a great journey, and yeah, and it's been wide open, because now money is a tool, and money is barely an object to help you. You can't take it home with you, but you can do so much good, you
Yeah.
know and that's my goal. That's my goal. Like, once I pay this off, hopefully, I plan to not just invest. And one person said it best. He gave his son some jars, one towards savings, one towards investing, but one towards giving towards charity. And I think that's what's important, because one of the saddest things, I know we're running close to out of time, that I ran into recently was a
We can go
young
to the
kid.
we go next time.
Yeah, but we could talk again next time. But I want to end with
Yeah,
this
yeah, go
story.
ahead.
Here was this young kid, and young black light-skinned kid that I ran into 2 weeks ago, peddling crack cocaine on the subway. If he called it yaya, you
Mm.
know. And I had to say something to this, and he looked like a feral little kitten, like, yo man, I'm all tough. He's trying to be all tough. His pants is falling down. I'm all tough, and blah blah blah. And I could make more money pelling yaya than shoveling snow. And I turned to him and said, my man, you're on the wrong path, because you know what's gonna happen to you? You're gonna be a statistic. And since you have the brains to peddle crack cocaine, you have the brains to go to school, learn, make something yourself. Don't do this, because guess what? You just cursed off that woman. She just pulled the alarm. The police is coming. I ain't afraid of no cops. Then, guess whose ass was the first one to run out the door? Him. Me and another black man intervened. Another black man kept telling them, calm down. I just wanted them, no, stop this. Don't do this. Because you're like, yo, 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 I can make money. No, my man, you're going to be in jail. And you're going to either end up in jail, or worse, a statistic. Another young kid shot. I hope my words get to him. And if,
Yeah.
it just hurt me. Especially being Black History Month, to see a young kid do it. And you could blame the media. Sure, we could blame this, but where's his parents? Where's the values? But where are the people to turn around that stands there and say, yo, man, you don't have to do this? And also the cuts to social programs. Now we're seeing the results. Like, it's very scary. The city's becoming like Gotham. You know,
Yeah.
that's not money. And so you have to be, you really have to look at the powers to be, not just in City Hall you're represented. You have to look at the provincial level, you have to look at the federal level, and more needs to be done. But unfortunately, we are becoming a society that is forgetting about care, that we're all in it together, and is worshiping individualism and the golden calf. And you know where that's going to lead to,
Exactly.
you
It's
know.
starting, yeah.
And that's why I feel what I did in the community, I did it to help myself because at the time I was struggling as a gay man, but I did it to help others. I've seen other people blossom. Some of us are still friends, some of us aren't. That's life. But if you can only do that, you're right, more volunteers need to speak up. But some of those silent ones that are in the background made a hell of a lot of difference. And I think that's where I'm at now at 50.
Well, you that
Well,
kid,
52.
it
I'm gonna
was.
be 52 in March, so I gotta
So
accept it.
you're
52.
silver.
I can call it
You're
do 52. 51
you're,
now. 52 in March, so I
so
gotta accept it. Yeah.
you're the silver. You're the silver. I'm going to the gold at 60.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's coming to me too in
I
about
know.
8 years. So
But what you saw in that kid in the suburb, just like you saw the potential that he could be, that he can't see in himself,
yeah.
right?
And I saw myself in him. And I could have been silent and said him, but I said
Yeah,
no. And I hope my words hit him. I said no. And he got upset. What do you mean you think I'm not with it? And I'm like, you know what? You got to think about that. Because you think you're 14 and you know shit. But guess what? You're gonna, and all the people tell them, but yeah, those are the older kids that are forcing you to deal with that. Because
yeah,
guess what? You're a punk ass gonna end up in juvie. You know, your punk ass is worse, is gonna end up in the hospital, or worse, lying in chalk,
yeah, exactly.
dead.
You want to go into the next session right away? We can take off here and go right now, and we'll talk about the election or whatever you want, community. Yeah,
Yeah, about the election.
yeah. We'll talk. Let's end this now. And I'll go just sign on the next one right away.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
no
yeah, because
problem.
I got booked it for later. But I already go early, so just I'll end this and I'll come back in 2 seconds and sign on the next one. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Talk to you in 2 seconds there. And there. Oops. Okay.